Hold on. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's end it, and we'll start over.
What's this?
Oh, hold on.
Well, now I got you.
Oh, there we go.
Something.
I heard me.
I hear us.
Something or did I do something?
No, you did it. You got it.
I can't believe it. I just randomly pushed buttons. Well, greetings, gentlemen. How are you? So we got Mitch. Who else do we got there?
We got Jeremy White, who is Montreal's #1 on-air personality, having won 19 books in a row.
What a bad, stone-cold son of a bitch you must be, Jeremy. That means you deserve me. God bless you, sir. I wish I was #1 in Toronto. Do you guys know how much I miss Toronto? Do you know how much Toronto misses me?
Hold on a second.
Montreal.
Montreal, Ted.
Oh, Montreal. Never liked Toronto. I like Montreal better. Quebec, land of the bigger bears. You have much bigger bears in Montreal. Yes,
that's right, and better looking women.
Yeah, and on my way to Kuujjuaq.
Yeah. And are you real? Are you really?
Mitch, so we're good.
Are you really on your way to Kuujjuaq?
Not a fucking prayer. No way. The Leaf River caribou herd has dramatically been reduced over the years, and they're still trying to figure out why. I used to go up there with my son and stick sharp sticks into the unsuspecting pump station of herbivores on the migratory route, and then dine on their flesh, which is why I have more piss and vinegar than you guys do. You guys eat domestic stuff. That's not good.
Oh man! Well, you know what? We'll get right into that. So the Ted Nugent Guns, Guitars, and Hot Rods car auction Saturday, March 27th. It's happening at 10 a.m. at Tucker Hall in Waco, Texas. Get the deets online, and there's some amazing stuff up for auction here. Ted, what's going on? Why are you auctioning this shit off? There's all kinds of really great gems on this list.
I'm telling you, it's Jeremy, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy and Mitch. I stumble to really answer that in a believable fashion, but and Mitch knows, I'm such a utilitarian pragmatist guy. I am influenced and inspired and stimulated by specific things in life. And I have hundreds and hundreds of the most beautiful firearm artwork you could ever want to fondle and discharge. But you know that some of hundreds of my guns have been, some of them sitting in the safe for over 50 years, and I haven't even fired them. I have an arsenal of about 100 guns that I'm keeping, probably more than that I actually use. I train with, and I compete with, and I just have fun with. Not that any of them that are going on the auction block don't qualify in all those meaningful endeavors. Right. But at some point, this might not sound like the Motor City Madman, but Mitch knows that I sometimes circumvent that identity. I'm a pragmatist. I'm getting rid of hundreds of the most beautiful, custom, gorgeous works of firearm art because I don't use them. And my 59 and my 58 Les Paul, these are the holy grail. But when I play my guitar, I pick up one of my 38 Birdlands, and I'm keeping 37 of those because at 72 or at 11, because the 72-year-old is not unlike the 11-year-old who gets in with a loud amp and a guitar, and I get spiritual erections. I get very stimulated. My goosebumps have goosebumps, and the hair on my hair stands up. I am so lucky that I am so excitable and passionate about the things I love that I'm gonna streamline my lifetime of obnoxious material accumulation to those things that I will actually utilize and appreciate. And I'm unloading just a superfluous tsunami of guns and guitars and bows and arrows and memorabilia because right now I wish I could turn the camera around. But a lot of guys have a man cave. I have a man's cuckoo's nest. I have so much artillery around. I got so many guns and bows and arrows and grenade launchers and hatchets and guitars. I have so much stuff that at 72, every year I look in my safes. I have safes full of guns in Michigan, safes full of guns in Texas that I never use. So it's like sacrilegious to have those fine pieces of artwork, instrumentally, the guitars and the firearms, that I'm just streamlining. I'm going to keep all my favorite stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the items up for auction, and one of the things caught my eye was you had some Eddie Van Halen 5150 amps up there.
Lots of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but it says they're not functioning. Like, what's going on? Were they like stage props, or were they?
No, they're real amps. And again, but what you're seeing, I got to tell you, what you're seeing at the Ted Nugent orgy auction is only the tip of the Nugent iceberg accumulation. For every amp, every guitar, every gun that I'm unloading, I've got 4 like it. Like right now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my God, I got a couple old Fender amps here. So I play all the time, but I tune into the gear that literally drives me crazy. And if some of the, look, I don't know if you can see that, but look at that.
I got some stimulation erection going on right now.
I mean, if you're as old as I am and you still play like a horny 12-year-old in a garage with your first loud amp in Detroit, 1960. I'm a lucky son of a bitch. So again, it's really a simple intellectual streamlining of a lifetime of accumulation. But believe me, I'm not shortchanging myself when it comes to hot rods and trucks and guitars and bows and guns.
You see, because Jeremy here has been collecting the Eddie Van Halen stuff. He'll probably buy it off of you right now. He'll make you a deal right now.
Come on, brother.
I was looking on the site and I'm like, so Ted, what can I buy from you right now? Like, you got a 5150 amp in your house that I could take off your hands, or?
I do. I have, Jeremy, I have a stack of them right on the other wall here, but those are the ones I'm keeping. Now, a lot of people have contacted me since I made it public that we're having this auction. People go, I'd really like to get that Canon. Can I get that guitar? How about that camouflage PRS? I went, no. Right. I already made a deal with the auction company, and they actually have their hands on all this stuff. It's like semi-tractor trailers loaded with Nugent debris, and it's going to this Tucker Hall in Waco, Texas, and it's just going to be an unloading. And believe me, I got lots of kids and lots of grandkids, and I'm keeping plenty of stuff to hand me down, and I'm keeping all the best stuff, believe me. Right. But even though my best stuff, I mean, how much better can you get than a 59 Les Paul or a 58 Les Paul or one of a kind, the experimental prototype Paul Reed Smith monster guitar artwork, but I don't use it, so I'm unloading it.
Well, that's let me ask you this Strat up there, and I was like, this guy's a.
How about a 53 Strat? You don't even have to play guitar. You can just go ahead and spoon it in bed.
It's a piece of furniture. You just want to cuddle it, It's funny.
Let me ask you.
Well, Mitch, my dad owned one of Ted's hot rods. He had a 36 Chevy, 36 red Chevy, 36 chop top, big block tube, rear end, fat tires.
Wow.
One of your hot rods. So I want to own one of your guitars or one of your amps, so this way we can complement each other.
That's right.
Well, I tell you guys should come to Waco. People are coming from all around the country. In fact, from foreign countries, to get downwind of myself. And by the way, you don't even have to use the stuff you buy from my auction. If you just get downwind of it, there will be massive mojo coming into your life because of the sweat accumulation and the trigger time, the aim small, miss small, mystical flight of the bullet mantra that I've perfected in my lifetime. So it's a lot of neat stuff if it was just stuff. But a lot of the custom guns have the serial number Nuge 1 or Uncle Ted, or I mean, really unique stuff. But I have a certain artillery that I carry every day. I rotate my carry guns, and I don't do much gun hunting anymore, except for waterfowl and upland game with my dogs, just to make my dogs happy. Plus, it's delicious. So I have a couple of sniper rifles. I don't know if you can see in the background here, but I just have a few of my really favorite tactical rifles that I train with the Delta Force. How lucky am I, huh?
Yeah.
And then when I have to kill extra game just to balance the herd that my neighbors don't do sufficiently, I can only do so much killing with my bow and arrow. And so we have to balance various herds and populations, and sometimes I have to pull out the sniper rifle. So I'm keeping my 10 favorite sniper rifles, but I'm selling 100 of the ones that I don't use that much.
You don't use. Let me ask you just real quick about the guitars that are for sale. Do they have any story? Are they guitars that were on Cat Scratch Fever or on the Music Made Me Do It, or do they have any story to them, or are they just guitars that you've had in your collection?
I think mostly just guitars in my arsenal.
Gotcha.
The cat scratch guitars and the stranglehold guitars. In fact, this is the stranglehold guitar here.
Let's get a little stranglehold, Uncle Ted.
There's no such thing as a little stranglehold, so I'll go ahead and play the. By the way, here I am. I'm an old man, but when I play this song, it is like my first piece of ass every time, man. It's so.
That is so. And Jeremy, you've been trying to play that for how many years now, right?
There's just such a certain mojo and vibrato that the man has that you can't.
Well, it's this whole, when you start playing Bo Diddley, you get kind of a swing pulsation playing all that stuff, especially the original Chuck Berry stuff. This right hand's got to go. So you get that, you get that really fast grinding,
that finger picking,
various tone, and so Stranglehold in a more Motown, grinding bluesy thing it's still got the and the spruce on the Birdland is so porous. It has such a unique voice that you can hear all those pulsations, and that's why when other people try to play it, I think it's cute, and I appreciate them trying, but they don't get this thing going. This. In fact, most guys don't know that that's a ninth chord going. But that'll. It's got to be the 16th notes and then occasionally 32nd slammers. So yeah, I still play, and I write a lot of songs. Listen, I think I played this for you last time, Mitch.
You did.
This is a new song called Detroit Muscle. But Jeremy is a guitar guy. These things happen every day, and think how cool and youthful, and irreverent this guitar lick is, which I have mastered for a lifetime. But look at this cool guitar lick. It's so simple, but it's such a power drive grind that the girls have to dance to this stuff. Yeah. This is the lick for Detroit Muscle. I mean, you can just hear the back. It's like Mitch Mitchell meets Bonham meets Runaway Freight Train and a truckload of short skirts.
Hold on, Mitch. I'm gonna get my panties. I'm gonna throw it at the screen for you. Hold on.
But isn't that a neat groove? And so even an old wounded man can still come up with really middle finger on fire fun licks.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like I come from a native reservation just outside of Montreal. We're the Mohawk Nation over here. And
well, I'm the bow and arrow guy. I'm Cochise, Sitting Bull, and Crazy Horse, all wound up.
So, whenever I DJ parties and stuff around town, we got all the res moms up there. They're grooving to Stranglehold, and they love boogie woogie kind of stuff.
They love it. They do. I've been to one of the the yacht club or whatever they call it, the marina.
Yeah.
And they play Ted Nugent all the time, and they love it.
Awesome. I'm honored because I've always celebrated the Aborigine Native American lifestyle, the oneness with the Great Spirit, the mystical flight of the arrow, understanding my relationship with the creatures and the wind and the ground and the habitat. So that's, and how, not only is what I just said a perfect conservation environmental lifestyle, but it's also the source of most of the hate against me.
Well, this is the thing, Ted. Listen,
how stupid can people be?
Well, coming from a native reservation and being a Mohawk, it's like I really think a lot of the stuff you say gets taken out of context and is completely.
You think?
Yeah.
Everything you say, I mean, a lot. It makes sense to me,
Because it's sensible, because it's truth, logic, and common sense, and it's pure nature. It's the Aboriginal lifestyle of being a responsible steward of God's renewable resources and monitoring it and actually being hands-on participant. And that's the story of the Mohawks. That's the story of the Assiniboine, the Gros Ventre, the Apache, the Sioux, the Lakota, the Blackfoot. I mean, come on, these are my blood brothers. Even when I use the term blood brothers, which is an Aboriginal term of being one with each other, being part of the community, the village, the tribe, people will attack me because I use the word blood brother. Blood brother is the most respectful, reverential term you can reference a human being with. As a blood brother, it means you share a great spirit and a lifestyle and a culture. And so, as I say this, you see this big shit-eating grin on my face, because the people that level these nasty accusations and hate towards me, they got to be the dumbest creatures that have ever slithered on the earth, because I'm literally living a perfect, environmentally positive lifestyle. And they don't get it.
And that's it. It's like as Mohawks, every morning we wake up and we do the Ohondo Gari Wadekwa, which is we give thanks to the Creator for everything that
Sure, yes.
And everything you just said, it completely relates to that. So,
well, I have a song called Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse, Geronimo and Me. I have a song called The Great White Buffalo, which celebrates the Native American stewardship, their reverence for God's creation and the creatures that food, clothe, shelter, medicate us. And my show is called The Spirit of the Wild. That is the Aboriginal lifestyle of the Great Spirit, the great Creator that gave us the food, clothing, and shelter from the bison and from the elk and the deer and the caribou. So Mitch and I've talked about this in the past. Yeah. It doesn't upset me on a personal level. Yeah. What it upsets me on is a human level, that people can be in such toxic denial that hunting, fishing, trapping, utility, wildlife is a valuable, renewable asset versus a caged creature, or using tax dollars to slaughter the bears because we weren't allowed to harvest them properly.
Right.
I mean, so many examples. So I know I've always been on the right track. And I find that my critics actually bring wind beneath my wings, because how much more confidence could you have than some dope-addicted, drooling, stumbling idiot attacking you because you had venison for lunch?
Well, that's it, and it's also, I don't understand as well, because it really is a part of our culture and heritage. As Native Americans, we live off the lands.
Sure. Yeah. So do I.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't understand why, and even certain statements you've made. It's like, on the last interview you did with Mitch, you guys were talking about, the water crisis up here in Canada, and how
we did.
The Canadian government, it just, you've got native reservations in rural parts of the country, even just outside of Toronto, that have to live off well water, but they have all kinds of people every day coming into the country. Here, take this, take that, take whatever you want. Meanwhile, they can't help the original peoples of the land. It makes no sense. So when you come out in support of us and you get the hate for it, I don't understand, because you're just standing up for us.
Hello. Well, you're talking about a lot of anti-logic, a lot of celebrated ignorance. I mean, you really have to protect your lack of information to think the things that people think when they level hate and accusations towards me. Because I'm literally, I'm a Caucasian guy. You can't tell by my guitar playing, and you can't tell by my average meal. But I feel like the Native American on the hillside, watching a bunch of drunken white dirtbags, littering my sacred hillside. in a metaphorical expression of a cultural decay and a cultural abandonment. So luckily, Jeremy and Mitch, we know we're not alone. But when we witness the self-inflicted distancing and disrespect from governmental bureaucrats, that's really the crime. The people who are polluting, that's a bad enough crime. But the government that actually finances and looks the other way from the polluting, instead of being responsible and taking care of the citizens that they hired to be taken care of. So nothing much makes sense. And here I am in America with some freak in the White House who's scrambling to put a sentence together. So I think we're all shouldering a real ugly time in our lives.
Let me just ask you, you started the Spirit Campfire podcast, and I'll put it this way. What does Ted Nugent have to say?
Not much. I'm kind of a quiet guy.
Well, we got that.
Yeah, we got that. No, but so just talk to me about what are we getting on there? I mean, Jeremy and I, we have our podcast. We do rock news. We do interviews. We've had Paul Stanley and you and Michael Anthony and stuff. What can fans expect from yours, and what have they been hearing over the last few months?
Well, I got to tell you, I've had Billy Gibbons on and Mark Farner and Ricky Medlock from Blackfoot and Leonard Skinner. I've had all my damn Yankees, Tommy and Jack and Michael on. I've had Derek St. Holmes on. I had Governor Huckabee on, Governor Sarah Palin. I've had Brian Collum, the funny comedian. I had Joe Piscopo on. You know me, Mitch. Yep. Nothing is sacred. And if I stumble into something that people think is sacred, I will fix it. There is no territory any man can tell me I can't tread on. So this Ted Nugent Spirit Campfires, much like your and my interviews, we don't settle for the road less traveled. We prefer where there's no roads and no one's ever traveled there before. And so life's journey can only be as gratifying each night when you go to bed if you tested yourself and you challenged yourself. So I've been trying to get Tom Morello on. He's a dear friend of mine, but we have opposite political views. Mine are educated, his not so much.
But let me ask you this, Ted. Just because you don't agree in politics, why should that prevent two friends from having?
Of course, and it should, and it doesn't, and it shouldn't. But some people presume that it must be a barrier, but it's not a barrier. I mean, Wayne Kramer of the MC5, one of the most powerful musical authorities that ever walked the earth, and it's a tragedy that drugs and alcohol eliminated the experience of an MC5 and a Wayne Kramer's musical authority, because they really, I think I mentioned to Mitch last time, there are no words. I never run out of words to adequately express my beliefs and my identification and explanation of things, but there are no words to express what the MC5 were like for about a year before the drugs deteriorated that energy and that uninhibited, forceful emotion and musicality. My point is that I think Wayne is a hardcore leftist guy, and I love him dearly. I call him. He's a good friend. I do these songwriting things over in the south of France with Desmond Child, who's a gay guy, and we hug. We do everything but smooch. I mean, there's nobody I can't get along with if you're just not mean. If you're not mean, and if you can tell me you don't want to own a gun, I don't want. If you don't want to own a gun, don't. Just don't tell me I can't. And if you don't want to eat meat or venison, I'll make you a tofu salad and I'll keep it down. I'll keep it upwind of my barbecue. I'm a tolerant, loving guy. So I get along with everybody unless they're intolerant and not loving. So
by the way, I just want to point out one thing. You mentioned Wayne. I saw his MC50 tour and it was just absolutely off the hook. I mean, that guy has not lost a step in what he does. And same with you, Ted. And I just want to quickly get to the live show because you recorded Intensities in Montreal, and I was in the audience at the Montreal Forum that night.
Intense.
I was there, and I remember you swinging off the speaker stacks and the bow and arrow and the whole thing. Listen, I'm trying to think how old I was. I must have been 11 or 12 when I
was acting 11 or 12 that night.
Yeah, and I was there. But the point being is, I've seen you in recent years. And you're still intensities. I mean, it's not the old guy with the guitar on the thing with the cane. It's a Ted Nugent show, whether it was 1981 or 19 whatever.
2019. 2019 was the greatest tour of my life with Jason Harkness on drums and Greg Smith on bass. We've never been tighter. The guitar tone and the bass tone and the drum thunder and the whole energy and the piss and vinegar factor. And that's really outrageous considering our age and the sheer miles, but those guys remain so passionate. They can't wait to play Dog Eat Dog. I can't wait to play Dog Eat Dog. I can't wait to open the chords on Free. I can't wait. I can't wait to play Gonzo. I can't wait to play Double Live. I can't wait. All these. And so the passion of an audience who only has to tolerate me once or twice a year. I've been doing it for thousands and thousands of nights, but because I live a primal scream as far away from the sonic bombast as you can get, and that would be in a tree with a bow and arrow. And I do that for, I don't know, thousands of hours every year. I've expressed this before, but a lot of people, Mitch and Jeremy, don't quite grasp when I explain this. Mm-hmm. If you want to play like an uninhibited maniac kid, you got to get away from the music. Mm-hmm. When you come back to it, it has to be as fresh as humanly possible,
well,
and that's very difficult.
Yeah, you gotta miss it. You gotta kind of like
yes,
you gotta miss it.
When I'm in a tree with my bow and arrow, I have to be so quiet for so long, and I do it so many times a year. I can't wait to get down in this cuckoo's nest and unplug that birdland, and just those licks fly off my fingers. So what you're talking about, Wayne, is there's a great example that my beliefs are sound. And that's that being clean and sober will keep you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, cocked, locked, and ready to rock the Glock around the clock dock because you're in good shape, you're spirited, and you have some athleticism left at my age. But Wayne went into the pits of substance abuse hell. But here's the story. I would never condemn him for that. I scolded him when I was doing it. But he might not remember, but I so love the guy. I go, you guys are losing it, man. You're not the MC5 you were last month. You're not tight anymore. The fire is diminished. So I was trying to be helpful at the time, but he went almost to death with the heroin. But here's a great celebration. Wayne came out of that hell, and he is the Wayne Kramer of origins. He is the Wayne Kramer that grew up on the streets of Detroit, parallel with me, born the same year, took guitar lessons from Joe Podorczyk at Capitol School of Music, pursued Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and James Brown and Wilson Pickett and Motown, pursued the grind and the spirit and the musical authority of those black heroes. So he lost it with the substance abuse, but he came back. So that's a great lesson I thought we'd emphasize here right now.
That MC50 tour.
Yeah, he's a stone cold musical fireball. And so that's proof that when he got clean and sober, the fireball was relit. So I love Wayne Kramer. I love Tom Morello. I even love Bruce Springsteen. I've never met him, but he paid homage to Mitch Ryder by performing Jenny Take a Ride with the E Street Band. And I've been trying to reach out to Bruce Springsteen because even though we're completely opposite politically, I'm right, he's wrong. But if he paid tribute to my prime musical influence and hero, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, Johnny Banagic on drums, Jimmy McCarty on guitar, Earl Elliott on bass, and Joe Kubrick on 335 rhythm guitar. I could name every lick, every amp, everything they did. But that Bruce Springsteen knew that, celebrated it, and promoted it, that's what I did. So we have to have some common ground there. But I have a funny feeling that a guy like Bruce wouldn't think there's common ground because I believe in freedom, I believe in work ethic, I believe in sacrifice and risk to be in the asset column, and obviously he does in application, but he supports policies that are against that. Yeah. So I could share a ginger ale, or if he wants to have a beer or whatever he wants, but they avoid me, and I can't really explain in meaningful terms why.
I'll get to work on that because I got Tom Werman to sit down with Ted about a year ago. So if
Sure.
Tom and Ted can talk, we can get Bruce and Ted to talk.
I'd love to see that happen. Because I played with Max in the E Street Band on Conan O'Brien a couple of times, and boy, we were
Cooking.
musically married. We were samurai musical children of Chuck and Bo and James and Wilson and Motown. Those guys genuflected the same black musical authority that all the best music, certainly mine, came from. So there's that common ground, but it's hard for some other people to admit and pursue that common ground. But I've always been, I admit it and I pursue it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, just from watching from here, because I come from a sovereign Mohawk nation where I'm watching the foreign governments. You got your left, you got your rights, and everything. And it's like, it's just so bizarre to me. It's like, listen, if you have something in common, sure, you may have disagreements, but why would you let those disagreements get in the way of you having a good time?
Yeah,
having a good
and not only
country.
that, but if you pursue the common ground, I promise you this. The common ground will expand. If you avoid the common ground, it will retract.
Yeah.
If you can find some things you agree on, couldn't we all agree on a healthy environment to punish polluters? Couldn't we agree on that? But it's not the new Green Deal. That's not how you do that. It's not building wind turbines out of resources that will never come back while you're killing eagles and hawks and bird and songbird migrations by the billions. I mean, these are the kind of conversations that I am open to. And I tell you this, I own a lot of acres. I own a couple thousand acres, and all my acres produce the best quality air, soil, and water capable in the world today. As good as rainforests, I would tell you, because I manage it for wildlife productivity, which means it's biodiverse, it's healthy, it's renewable. And where do you get clean air, soil, and water from? Optimal wildlife habitat. And if I manage my land for optimal wildlife habitat that's good for the songbirds and good for the crows and good for the deer and good for the coyotes and good for the turkeys, if it's good for all of those, I harvest the surplus to feed my family and friends. But that ground benefits everyone's quality of life. Could we start there?
Yeah. I mean, so do you actually feel the difference in the air quality, like in your body and do you feel it?
72. Come on.
I'm 72. I wore out my dogs today. I have a Catahoula and a German Shepherd and a Labrador. I wear them out every day. I'm lucky, but I attribute my luck to good decisions, clean and sober, being involved, being earthly. I'm a farmer. I plant, I hoe, I fix, I weld. I'm always active, and then I play my guitar, and that independent, utilitarian, rugged spirit comes out in my licks. I just know it does. Yeah. So I'm able to do this, and it's because I make sure that my ground is good. I own a fen, F-E-N. A fen is a unique wetlands, a cross between a marsh and a swamp. I own the largest fen in Michigan, east of the Mississippi. And botanists and biologists and scientists and bird watchers, I give them permission to come to my fen every year, and they exalt it's the healthiest fen they've ever seen, which is the habitat for the endangered Mitchell's satyr butterfly and the Christmas tree fern that are thriving on my fen. And they tell me why. Because I hunt hardcore and I kill enough deer and game so that they don't destroy the fen. So again, Jeremy, that's the Mohawk mantra, is leave this piece of ground better when you're done than when you first got here. And I'm just a dumb guitar player, but I figured that out because I was raised in a bow hunting lifestyle.
Well, isn't it the circle of life? It's the circle of life, right?
Yes.
It's
beautiful. So yes, I can tell the difference when I'm on tour. And of course, I got to tell you, when I was growing up, I think I said this to Mitch last time, Lake Erie would spontaneously combust. There was so much pollution that every once in a while the flames would erupt out on the lake.
Well, there was also a Lake Cuyahoga or whatever.
Yes.
Cleveland. It was declared a fire hazard.
Yes, a lake.
A fire hazard.
But here's the celebration. The trappers, which people modern people condemn trapping as cruel. No, what's cruel is not harvesting adequate numbers of fur bearers so that disease, the rabies and distemper and mange erupt. So trapping is the balancing act. So the trappers saw that there were no more beavers, no more otters, no more muskrats, no more coons or possums or skunks. So they found out why, and then the duck hunters saw there was no wild salary because of the pollution, and the fishermen weren't catching anything but carp because of the pollution. So it was the hunters, the fishermen, and the trappers who went, what happened to my beautiful Lake Erie? And then they got other people involved by blowing that whistle. And today, instead of Lake Erie catching fire, it's the #1 walleye fishery on planet Earth. Because it came back because people can fix their mistakes. And I think that's the conservation battle cry that I have always represented. And I'm very proud of that.
And we love our walleye here in Kahnawake. You come to our
Love the slabs. I'm a slab master, baby.
You come to our powwow in July and you have some walleye nuggets, watch some traditional dance competition. You have the best time, Uncle Ted.
I'm telling you, I love that stuff. I live that stuff. This time of year, we're getting ready for turkey season. In Texas, we have all these non-indigenous exotics running all over the country. The axis deer and the fallow deer and the cyca deer, the black buck antelope, Oudan antelope. And they can get out of hand real quick, so we hunt them year-round, and they're all delicious. But the turkey season is very exciting because a turkey is almost omniscient. They can see 360, and if you want to get one with the bow and arrow, you got to be a sneaky, sneaky son of a bitch, and I'm a sneaky, sneaky son of a bitch. So I'm really excited about the turkey season. Plus, the bluegills and the crappie are starting to come to the warmer water. So yeah, this is a smorgasbord on our property with game. Squirrels, rabbits, turkeys, deer, the wild, exotic wildlife that runs all over. And then the fishing season's coming out. So this is a big part of my life. And I think that's where my excitement, my energy, and certainly my health comes from. I'm sure of that.
Yeah. And I'm looking
For
forward
example,
to the,
I'm drinking tonic water. Somebody said that tonic water is really good for you. And my wife knows that stuff, so I'm drinking tonic water instead of a Coca-Cola.
And I'm looking forward to the turkey dinner invite. I can't wait. Me and Jeremy will be right on down there for that. That'll be
absolutely.
It'll be delicious.
Mitch and Jeremy, if I cooked up a turkey for you guys, I'd have to beat you off me because you'd want to kiss me. I'm telling you, the way I kill a turkey with the bow and arrow, there's no hydrostatic shock from an arrow. It kills clean. They literally fall asleep because the arrow goes through and they bleed to death.
Listen, I'll be honest, and I don't want to be uncomfortable here, but I sort of felt that way when I first heard cat scratch fever. So
yes, I'm glad to hear that. That was probably a hidden meaning behind creating that groove.
That
but anyhow,
wang dang sweet poontang. I went, well, that's kind of happening there. It's kind of
how about that lick, Jeremy? How about that lick?
Yes. Bring it
I mean, that's that right hand thing again. Wang. Again, look at the hairs.
Man, that is fantastic.
Does that, by the way, we have a special app that Shemaine told me how to put on this laptop. The guitar sound, does it sound good? Because in here it sounds incredible.
Sounds fine. It sounds loud as fuck, and it sounds great.
It is loud, and that's my middle name.
Yeah, I love it. Well, the Ted Nugent Guns, Guitars, and Hot Rods car auction Saturday, March 27th. You get the details online. Tucker Hall in Waco, Texas. Go and check it out. Some great memorabilia and awesome stuff up for grabs. And Uncle Ted, this was awesome, man.
Back at you. God bless Montreal. And I got to tell you, thank everybody up in Canada. Some of my greatest rock and roll, fire-breathing memories. Montreal and Toronto and Quebec City and all Vancouver. And I think I played Saskatoon and Alberta. I love the spirit and the piss and vinegar. In fact, if you guys go on my Facebook, which you should, because you want to see.
I have, actually.
It's just a firestorm of positive energy and smart, funny, cocky people, but really positive. But I have a lot of Canadians that come on, and a lot of Canadians are very frustrated for the same reason that you guys are expressing, especially you, Jeremy, that the Canadian socialist government, even though the conservatives, they call themselves conservatives, they're more like rhinos, Republicans in name only. So there's a lot of Canadians that in their heart and soul, they believe in the same self-evident truths and in independence that I have always celebrated, represented, and exuded. So I have some great, great friends all across Canada, most of which are rock and roll, real music lovers like us. But a lot of them are hunters and fishermen and trappers. A lot of them are native people. And I thank everybody up there for that positive energy and positive spirit. I know my friends are all across Canada, and I dearly appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, burleyauction.com and tednugentauction.com to go see the lots up for grabs and just go and support the man. Great memorabilia for grabs. And hey, he's a fan and good brother of the Native Americans.
God bless you guys. Jeremy, I appreciate it. Mitch, always good to see you, man.
Absolutely.
Anytime you want to raise hell, I'm your boy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for doing this today. Always, always great. And as we say in Montreal, merci beaucoup.
Yep.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. When I'm up there, I don't sprechen diable, but I my best.
And if you want to try and say thank you in Mohawk, we say Nyawankoa.
Yamagoa.
There you go.
All right, guys. God bless you, man. Keep that spirit. Keep pursuing real rock and roll. It is out there. And if we get the green light from these cosmic, oath-violating, power-abusing criminal bureaucrats in America, Jason and Greg and I are so horny to play live music. In fact, I'll leave you guys with this. You guys, of anybody, you guys will love this. So I don't wait for any authorization from anybody for anything. I have absolute confidence in my intellectual capability of making a good decision that will benefit my happiness and everyone around me happiness. So I'm not waiting for the authorization to start playing live. My buddy down here in Texas, I have John Kutz on drums and Johnny Big on bass, monster grind masters of all things rhythm and blues and rock and roll. Starting the day before my auction, and then from then on, every Thursday night, there's going to be a Ted Nugent speakeasy at Tucker Hall, like the old days when the Lourdes and the Amboy Dukes played at the VFW and the Elks Lodge and in the basement of a church. We got a little amplifiers and the drums and a little PA system. We're going to play Stones and Beatles and Yardbirds and Kinks and Ted Nugent and James Brown and Wilson Pickett, Motown songs. We're going to play all my classic stuff, and it's just going to be a Ted Nugent speakeasy every Thursday night at Tucker Hall, and just see what happens.
And you know why? You know why, Jeremy? Because the music made me do it.
The music made me do it. Not a damn thing I could do. Now the music made me do it, and I'm going to do it to you. Come on, baby.
Boom.
There you go. Perfect.
All right.
All right, guys, live it up. Thanks for your time. My very best to all the real shit kickers in Canada. You are my blood brothers, and Uncle Ted loves you madly.
All right.
Merci bien. Cheers.